All right, we are here with Greg Johnson. He is one of the co-creators of the ToeJam and Earl series. How's it going today, Greg?
Hi, it's going great. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you joining us today. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be having a ToeJam and Earl retrospective of sorts. As some of our readers and listeners of the show will know, ToeJam and Earl was our game of the month in June, so we spent the entire month playing through ToeJam and Earl and discussing it on the forums. And we wanted to sit down with Greg and have this retrospective, which he so graciously has been able to sit down and do with us. We're trying to do it last week. Unfortunately, we had some internet issues, so we rescheduled it for today. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually play through ToeJam and Earl, and we're just going to have a discussion about it, and we're going to have a neat little trivia contest at the end of the show, where Greg has come up with about 20 or so questions for the most hardcore ToeJam and Earl fans out there, and for the winners who've been able to either guess them all right or guess most of them right, are going to get some really neat prizes, like a signed ToeJam and Earl game and some concept art from ToeJam and Earl that Greg will sign as well. But let's get into, let's see here, let me see if I can share this screen here. And there you go. Can you see that, Greg?
Not yet. Oh, there it is. Yep.
Okay, great. All right, so yeah, I've had this playing. This is the Steam version of ToeJam and Earl. It's on the SEGA Genesis Classic line. Let's see here. Let's see. Is it? It looks like are you still seeing it? It looks like it's it may have
kind of freezing up.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Let's try that again.
Yeah, I don't think I've even played the Steam version of it. I always play it at my house on the Wii.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have. I've been playing it on my Genesis. That's what I
yeah, you're so old school.
Yeah, I like to play it on that.
Awesome.
I don't know. Like, I just have a thing where if I'm playing an old game, it feels so much better playing it on the original system.
Yeah, my Genesis is just in the box in the garage with layers of dust on it.
Oh no, you made some kids cry just now. Now, when you sit down and play this, who do you usually pick if it's just you sitting down playing?
Oh, I can't even tell you. I do half and half. I used to be Earl all the time when I was developing the game with Mark. Those were kind of just typically he was ToeJam, but these days I'm it's all just nostalgia for me, and I don't have really a preference anymore.
I always have to go with ToeJam. He's my guy.
Yeah, well, he's a little quicker, so that's that's kind of nice. You can run away from guys a little better. I think in a single-player game, it's probably better to be him, even though his life bar is a little bit shorter.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny seeing it as a single-player game too, though, because I rarely sit down and play it by myself, so I'm not really even used to seeing just one character. It feels kind of sad and lonely. He's out there all by himself. Well, hey, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Great, if you don't mind being interviewed on your own show. But I've been asked I don't know how many times over the years when another ToeJam and Earl game is coming, and I'm still don't know the answer to that question for sure, but I just finished up my project Doki Doki Universe, and I'm thinking about what comes next, and I'm sort of pondering doing a new ToeJam and Earl, and I'm just thinking about what that would be, and I guess I'm just really interested and curious to know what thoughts you might have on what you loved or hated about this game. And in fact, for that matter, anybody who might listen to this. I'd love any and all feedback on what it was that they would want out of a new game. Why this game, if it was made for good memories for them, why that is, or if it frustrated the heck out of them, what it was that they would want to see changed, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like it's so funny, but because this first game, it brings back. There's so much nostalgia about it for me because I remember sitting down and playing the original ToeJam Earl with my cousins over at my cousin's house because he had the SEGA Genesis a lot longer before we did. When the SEGA Genesis was out, we still had the NES. We hadn't got to that point yet to get a Genesis. So we'd go to his house, and he always had the newest and greatest systems, and he had ToeJam Earl. And I just remember playing it at his place, and we loved the two-player aspect of it because at the time there wasn't a ton of co-op games out there. I remember another one that we really liked was Rampage, where we could kind of play two players with that. But we loved the co-op aspect with ToeJam and Earl and working together for kind of a common cause. So I would love to see that be retained if there was ever going to be a sequel or a new entry in the series. I really like this style of play too. I know Graham on the site prefers ToeJam Earl 2 over the original, which people out there don't know. The second one was kind of a side-scrolling adventure action type of game. But I know a lot of people love that game, and that was a lot of fun too. But I prefer the roguelike style of this game. And would you say that that's a correct? I've heard it called that quite a bit. And when I played this the first time, I had no idea what a roguelike was. But would you say that that's a good description of the game?
Absolutely, yeah. It's to be rather blunt. It's a total rip on Rogue, like the original Rogue, and where the game came from. Because when I went to college way back in the dark ages, I was at UCSD in 1980, 81. I sat up till 3 or 4 in the morning playing the original Rogue game on the mainframe computer. I had to, trek down to the computer lab because we didn't have personal laptops in those days, and I'd sit there at the terminal playing this little ASCII game, going through the Rogue dungeon as deep as I can, see how far I could get, and I was just in love with that whole experience. So, you can find, in most games you look at, you can find old games buried in them. There aren't really that many truly original games when it comes to mechanics, and there are a few out there, and to varying degrees. I don't want to diminish anybody's innovative efforts, but it's very often the case, and this game is Rogue. Really, the presents are scrolls and potions. You don't know what they are until you identify them or until you have used them. The floating platforms are the rooms. Those corridors are the secret passageways. Even down to the different things that the characters do, there was some character in Rogue that stole your scrolls and potions. I guess it was probably the thief. There was some character that slowed you down. That's the hula dancer. I tried to add a bunch of new and original elements to it, all across the board in terms of the things that the different magic spells, in this case presents, did, and the things the different characters did, and the Earthlings did, and their qualities, and then the cooperative play that you mentioned. I really wanted it to be a strong cooperative experience. So rather than just putting two players together on the screen working together, I was looking for ways to allow you to support each other. So things like using a present. You both get the benefits of a present when you're together on the same screen, or being able to share life when you high five, or what else? Being able, when you are walking in the sand, if one of you touches the other, you pop up to the surface, so it gives you kind of incentives to help each other and work together. I'm always looking for ways to, or was always looking for ways to make that cooperation stronger. And that's one of the things I want to kind of give some thought to for a new game, is how to make that even better for, so that there's game features that really support teamwork.
Yeah, I think, and that's one of the things that I was thinking about too, as I was playing the game. Like, if there was a new entry, what kind of things could you do? And I think it would be neat to have some sort of like ways that they could tag team together to either overcome obstacles or maybe defeat enemies or anything like that. Because one of the things I did like about the game is that you really can't fight a lot. There's certain items that you can get that can defeat. I think it's like the tomatoes that you can get and you can throw at them, but that's not a really core part of the gameplay. It's you're really kind of running away or avoiding enemies, and I like that about the game. But I think it would be kind of neat though to have ToeJam and Earl be able to team up and do certain moves, and that way they could either get past enemies or obstacles or through little areas. I think that would be kind of a neat thing to do that could add to the co-op experience.
Yeah, well, you mentioned two things there that could be related but aren't necessarily, and I'm interested in exploring both of those ideas. One is the running away versus attacking, like in Rogue, for example, and all of the most rogue-like games, and there sure are a lot of them now. Generally you have a sword or an equivalent of that and armor, and you get stronger as you play the game, and oftentimes you can at least defend yourself and fight, and oftentimes you're the aggressor. You go after the monsters and attack them in order to get their treasure or whatever it is they drop. And you're quite right. In this game, you spend 80% of your time running away from them. Oh, there's the wise man. Do you have any presents you need to identify?
Oh, let's see here. I bet I do. But that's the kind of thing that I always liked about ToeJam and Earl, because it seemed like they were like the eternal good guys. That they.
Right. It's part of the story, I guess. Right? They've crash landed and they're just trying to get away from the Earthlings.
Right.
But it does. It's funny. Over the years, I've heard people say different things about it. It gives the game sort of a gentler feel, and you spend a lot of your time cruising and running, moving, as opposed to standing and fighting, which lends a different kind of feeling to the game. Oddly, even though often you're kind of panicked, it feels a little more relaxed because you're sort of moving so much, cruising around. But I don't know, in Game 3, we intentionally tried to change that. There were a variety of issues, in Game 3 that maybe kept some people from enjoying it, and we could talk more about that. But without getting into that, specifically focusing on that aspect, we gave you a bunch of abilities to fight. Like you could shoot these notes, these funkifying notes. You had funk fu that you could use, that was sort of your local attack. And you could, you had this jam out ability. You could walk around and this like radiate this musical funkiness, and any Earthlings that you got near would immediately dance. And yeah, and so
I hate that guy.
It's bad news. Anyway, we wanted to try to give you more power in the game, and it has a different feeling to it. And I'm curious to know, some people like it and some people don't, and I'm not really sure which way to steer if I go forward with a new game.
Yeah, I don't know. There's always just maybe having a way to give the player the option to do it. You know, maybe it's something that you don't necessarily have to do it,
Mhm.
or you can do it, and maybe it could even have some sort of story or gameplay effect, which
Yeah.
would be kind of neat. And then it would also add to the replayability of the game too. Like you could play through and it'd be more passive, like this style of game, or play through the next time and you know, you'd be a much more aggressive, and maybe it could have that weird effect and on the story, and maybe ToeJam and Earl could maybe not necessarily be so much of the good guys anymore. They could even be thought of as like the stereotypical invading aliens that are, you know, hurting people or something. There's so many different possibilities. That's what's so great about
Yeah.
it that you can
Right.
do with it.
Yeah. Well, one thing I probably would do is make a range of Earthlings so that some of them are so tough you basically kind of need to run away from them,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them you see them and you want to chase. I don't think we had that in this first game, did we? And I get confused sometimes of which was in which game, but in game 3 we had the little elves and they would pop up and all they would do is run away from you and you chase after them. If you catch them you get a present, and then there's other Earthlings who are weak enough that you can go after them with your tomatoes or whatever. And so I think having a range of powers in the Earthlings is probably good and very roguelike in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
But the real question is, do we give you attacks, and are they only tied to presents like in game 1, or do you have on your button, you have something where you can always attack? Oh yeah, those tomatoes are not so good with that guy.
I know, he's pretty fast.
Tomatoes usually get you killed. I think they get you in more trouble than they're worth. They really, when they're really good is against like the hula dancers.
Yeah.
Because, you whip out your tomatoes and just get rid of those because they'll, just having them around the level is dangerous later when you're being chased. But
I've always had this kind of obsessive compulsive thing about trying to clear out as many of the tiles on the map as possible. I'm trying not to do that. It's bothering me not doing it. But as I'm playing the game by myself, I will just go through the entire level and try to clear out the map as much as I can before I will proceed.
That's funny. Do you think would you feel that same way if it wasn't tiles? One of the things I've thought a little bit about is going more towards sort of like fog of war. Just kind of not discrete tiles, but just darkness that gets uncovered. But there is something about the discrete nature of each tile that makes you want to get the next one. So I'm not.
It reminds me almost of those like old like games that you would have to like kind of flip a tile over, and there's a sense of satisfaction that you get, seeing a tile, being covered when you get that.
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
know if you would keep that if it was like just darkened areas. I've always personally really liked it. That was actually one of the things I was saying that I think you should keep. And it was
Interesting.
the tiles.
I wonder if we should have like like right now you can't tell if you're uncovering a tile or not. You have to keep going back to the map. I wonder if there should be like a little plink sound or something every time you uncover a tile.
Yeah, like some sort of just really nice sounding, what a sound effect that's, gets people really excited for doing it. I think that would be awesome.
Well, what you're doing is actually a good strategy, because whenever you uncover a tile, you get we have a variety of ways of giving you points, and that's what causes you to level up. So you actually level up faster by uncovering the map like you're doing.
Oh, really? I don't know if I knew that.
Yeah.
I love this ToeJam Earl the sneaking animation that he does. I always thought that was so funny.
Isn't that silly? I actually did almost all of these animations myself back in the old days, and which is kind of funny to think of because I haven't done any pixel art for eons, ever since computer graphics developed enough so that actual artists were doing the artwork. But back in these days, it didn't even really occur to people to have artists do it. And I remember sneaking around the office like that, trying to figure out how it should look. And
Oh, that's great.
yeah, I couldn't quite pull off the whole 3-leg thing, but but I did my best. Yeah, and doing Earl's walk and trying to make his walk look like that too.
That's great. My kids get a kick out of that whenever I play the game. They see me like sneaking around. They think it's hilarious.
Yeah, that's something I guess we probably keep. One of the things I thought I might want to do, I did in game 3, was have daytime and nighttime, and all of the Earthlings fall asleep at nighttime and have these cycles, and the boogeymen come out at night, and it's kind of the whole sleeping thing's kind of
that would be interesting to have in this style of game. Oh no.
Oh yeah, you can leap. You can like cut corners when you've got those high tops on and leap across the corner. Try
there
it.
we go.
Yeah, that's a good way to get away from things. Yeah.
My ToeJam Earl skills are a little rusty, as you can see.
I know. Me too. It's so embarrassing when I play with people and I don't make it to the end, and I just get clobbered by this game. But I recently played it with a friend, and we had a good run and got all the way to the end of the game in our first try, and
oh, nice.
That's funny. I felt so proud of myself, but it's kind of, my wife's like, yeah, right, you made this game. So.
That's not fair.
Yeah.
So, I've uncovered almost the entire thing. Still haven't seen the toll booth yet. Going back to the items that you're saying, I think an interesting thing to think about is maybe having some sort of items that that aren't just like a one-time use thing. Like maybe something that you could equip, and it would be kind of like a permanent boost, like whether it be a new high tops that could be like Heelys or something that would allow ToeJam to roll around the level, or something like that, or like new hats or clothing for them that could increase their health or defense. Something like that, I think, might be kind of neat, or something to think about.
Yeah, no, I have been thinking a bit about that. I like that idea. That your clothing idea is fun, and it's very roguelike. In Rogue you have skills and abilities that are persistent and stick with you. In game 3 we had super presents, which was a little different than that. Those would be presents you'd open, and they would give you an ability that would last until you died or until you left the level. So like you had Icarus wings or spring shoes or whatever. But what you're talking about is a little different than that. In fact, one thing that a lot of roguelike games do these days that I've also been giving some thought to, and in fact getting some advice from a few of my friends that worked on the last game with me, on Doki Doki Universe, is the idea of kind of persistence beyond just one game, where there's this game, what would you call it, like a game wrapper, so if you die and you come back and you play again, which is part of the idea of a roguelike, right? That's why the worlds are random, because you're sort of expected to do it over and over again.
Right.
Each time you do it, you come back with some of the stuff that you had earned from the previous game. So your character's abilities stay persistent, and you're building up over time. And there's a variety of ways that could be done. I've been kind of pondering different things I might do if I do that, but I'm not even sure if that's something people would like or want. I'm interested in your opinion about that. Like, so you could imagine that there's skills that your character has, maybe that Oh, you need to start using your presents.
I know. I have a bad habit of I hoard. That's what I.
Order, yeah, yeah. The ones right there you go. The ones that you've got multiples of, those are usually a good
Mm.
choice. And then save your bucks and Carrot Man first, always. Of course, you know this until you hit the randomizer and the total bummer. Um, that's what you want to do. Um, where was I? Oh yeah. Oh gosh, it's hard to. There's so many thoughts I have just spinning around in my head. It's hard to stay focused. But uh, so back to the idea of persistence. You could have skills that are persistent. You could also. One thought I had was that you unlock presence as you get to new levels, and then when you play the game again, those presents that you had unlocked on level 10, you now have access to on level 1. So the farther you get
Yeah.
when you play. But I don't know, one of the things I think, too, that was also appealing about Game 1 to a lot of people was its simplicity, right? And just accessibility. So anything I add, whether it's clothes, that give you long-term abilities, or whether it's unlocking presents, or whatever, crafting. That's another thing I've been thinking a little bit about, is putting together multiple presents and being able to craft new things. Or
that's a really. I like that idea. That's a good idea.
oh really? Oh, okay.
I think that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, anything I add, sort of adds and detracts. It detracts from the simplicity of the game too.
I agree. It's a fine line to walk on. Do you add that, and then you do draw back from that accessibility of the game, which is one of the things, like you said, is one of the things that I loved about ToeJam Earl, because I played it when I was really young, and I hate this guy, the boogeyman, when he comes out.
Yeah, he's not good at walking on the corridors though, so that's one way you can get away from him. There it is. Stay on the grass. You're faster. Oh, you found it. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. You were saying it's one of the things you liked was the
simplicity of it, because when I played it, I was still fairly young, but I was able to understand, without knowing much about it, some of the core ideas of the game, and what kind of I was supposed to be doing. Oh no, and
yeah,
and it was very easy to kind of get into, and even when we played with like younger kids and stuff that didn't even really know how to read, we could still kind of get into and play the game, and they could kind of understand what it is. I guess one way you could do it is make it to where it's not an essential thing in the game. Like, you don't have to necessarily do the crafting to make it to where there's an alternative way to still progress and do the same thing, but have it to where it's not essential. Like, they could continue and play through the game without the crafting and still continue through it. Or if you do craft, it opens up these new abilities that you can kind of do some newer or neater things through the game if you put in the time to craft. But I personally like the idea. I think it would be fun.
Yeah. Well, that brings up a thought. There's two ways that one can approach that regards to the design. One is to sort of make it sort of implicit or explicit. Explicit meaning that you put in some UI specifically for crafting. And there's something on the screen where you drop your presents in a bucket or something, and it spits out a new present. And making it implicit, meaning that we don't add any new UI. We try to keep the perception simple, but we did that in Game 3, where you drop your presents together in a certain location, and then they would turn into something new. And that was kind of a bunch of secrets in Game 3. Like, if you dropped food on a picnic table, or you drop two presents together by a well, or things like that, new presents would emerge, but then it's not as visible. You know what I mean? That's the trade-off. You can add UI and you can make it explicit, but it adds perceived complexity. Or you can hide it and try to keep, oh, there's Santa. You know what to do.
No, I was going to ask, what do you do?
That's exactly what you do. You just have to start sneaking soon enough and sneak and hit him before he gets that little exclamation mark over his head.
Okay.
Before that happens, but that was the right thing to do. Yeah. Yeah.
I always love seeing Santa.
Pretty well, Chris. I gotta say, I'm watching you, and you're doing a lot of the right things. So you've clearly played this game.
It's just pure luck.
Yeah. So that's another. So speaking of implicit and explicit in regards to crafting, that same question happens all across the board with different kinds of features. So, for example, you're making these hidden passageways appear just by walking around, right?
Right.
Near them. In most rogue games, you don't do that. You actually have to search. You go and you actively search in locations. In Game 3, ToeJam Earl 3 Mission to Earth, we did that. We took that approach where you have this attack called Funk Fu that was on one of your buttons, and you'd sweep and this like curtain of light would appear around you, and we used that for attacking Earthlings, but also for finding secret passageways and for hidden things, because hidden things we had all around the level, and when you got close to one, your controller would shake and there'd be some sound, and you'd do your Funk Fu, and it made the finding of the secret passageways a little harder because you had to look for them, but it also allowed you to be more active. And that's another thing I'm pondering. I have this long list of things that as I play the game, I take notes and think, was that the best way to do it or not? And and making it, giving you another action on a button and allowing you to have attacks and allowing you to find secret passageways that way adds complexity to the game. Right now, all you do is move. But is that good? Is it not good? Do people like it? Do they not like it? Yeah, I know. Santa and bees are a bad combo.
I know. It's been a while since I went back and played ToeJam Earl 3, so I'd like to go back and really find and use that ability and just see kind of what it felt like for that. I've always liked the fact that when you get near when you got near an area and and it just like that. I always thought that was really cool. It felt nice just to walk around, and I like the sound effects of what it sounded like when it just felt, and I think that's one of the really important things on a game like this is really satisfying sound effects. I think it's
right. What's funny is most of the sound effects in this game were done just vocally by me sitting at my desk, not even in a recording studio, just sitting there making funny sounds with my mouth. And I watched this show recently where they were showing how they do things at Ghibli Studios, Miyazaki's studio.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
And I'm a huge Miyazaki fan.
Oh, yeah.
And I was so kind of tickled and surprised to see that they do all of their audio, like with their latest movie that they just released. All of that audio is done vocally, even like all the airplane sounds and the mechanical sounds. They showed this guy sitting there at a microphone, and because it has this kind of warmth to it, and that they wanted to have permeate their their movies.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, isn't that? It's funny these days too. You kind of, in those days, everybody had low fidelity. Sitting at your desk with a cheapy microphone was sort of par for the course. Nowadays, maybe I can get away with that if it's an indie thing, you know. But game players sort of expect a better quality of audio, so I'm not sure. You know, again.
Yeah, I think the main
Wow,
thing
you're
is,
getting him a lot.
I know.
Oh man,
You
I
think
don't
I
know
needed
why.
to go maybe behind him? Would that have affected it, you think, if I kind of snuck up behind him?
Oh, that's right. So here's the deal. Here's the deal. You have to, when he looks up from his bag, you have to stop moving.
Ah,
So
okay. Well, that
he's
makes sense.
rummaging. That's what it was. He's head down, rummaging in his bag. You sneak towards him. As soon as he looks up, there's a moment. You have a brief moment where you have to stop and wait
Ah,
till he goes rummaging again.
okay.
And see, it's so funny. It's been so many years. I didn't even remember that until just now. And like, did you know there's all kinds of things that people don't know when they play that's not obvious about this game? I have them in my questions, but I'll give away some of the answers now in case so people are listening. They can get
Oh, that's a
the
good
right answer.
idea. Yeah, you have to listen to all this.
Yeah, right. That's right. Like that Cupid you just passed. There's a way to get rid of him.
Oh, really?
You know what that is? Have you ever
No.
across that? Oh yeah. One of the presents lets you knock him out of the sky. If you touch him, he falls and pops.
Okay.
Can you guess which one that is?
Oh no. What? Let me see.
Actually, a couple of them. Either one. If you touch him with Icarus wings or spring shoes,
Ah, okay.
he'll fall out of the sky. Yeah.
That's really neat.
Yeah. Here's another clue for you. That's on my question list. I don't want to give everything away, but maybe I'll just pose the question. There's a way to know if a mailbox is a mailbox monster or not.
You know what's funny is that my son and I, when I was playing last weekend, that's one of the things that we were asking each other. Like, I wonder if there's a way that you can tell. And we were looking at it, and we couldn't figure out. The only thing that we were thinking is that it has like a design on the front of it.
Uh-huh.
And we were wondering if maybe if the design is flipped one way or the other, if that's a way you could tell. But that was the only thing we could think of. Like,
Good. No, okay, stay here and just watch it for a little while. That's the key. You have to
okay.
kind of see what it's saying.
Yep.
So that's not a real mailbox.
Well, that's a good indicator. That's the thing. We were wondering if maybe it looks like a Y or something, maybe like a flopped Y, and we're wondering maybe that's what it was. But
no, that's a good hypothesis, but no, they peek around just like that guy just did. So, but it takes patience. You know, usually you don't stand there and look at them. So a lot of people don't ever notice that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now the elevator was always the thing that I always wondered about, because during this time there were a lot of elevators in the pop culture. You had like Bill and Ted, Doctor Who with a phone booth type thing, and then in ToeJam and Earl. How did you decide on the elevator to take you to new areas?
Oh, it just it's so funny. I don't think there was much deep thought there. It just was a byproduct of the fact that you were going up and not down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, most rogue games you go down deeper in the dungeon, and I thought it would be fun to kind of flip that around and have you going up, and that lent itself to the whole notion of falling back.
I was going to say that. Yeah, it makes sense to be able to do that.
Yeah, and that was one of the new things that I added to the to the rogue design, and wasn't sure how it was going to work out. Oh, you were almost there. You just were stuck on the door jam. Good luck. Yeah, that's it. That's the way to do it. Oh, nice, nicely done.
That was all coincidence there.
Yeah, cool. But that brings up another question that I've been pondering. Over the years, people have said, "Hey, this is supposed to be Earth, right? They're supposed to crash land on Earth. What's up with all of these weird-looking stacked levels?
Right.
That's not what Earth looks like." And
I hate these ducks.
Oh yeah, oh chickens.
The chickens. Yeah.
Yeah, you know the secret to them though is they fire in an arc, and if you're close to them, they can't hit you.
Ah.
So, so when here's the secret to this guy is you just did it, so maybe you know what it is
I don't. I'm just running
reverse.
away.
These tornadoes, they take a swipe at you in straight lines. So if it's about to get you, you just reverse your direction quickly, and you can get away from them that way. Almost all the Earthlings have movement patterns and behaviors you can learn that allow you to get away from
Oh.
them. They seem really rough at first, but once you kind of learn it, like this one, she moves in long straight lines, and she's terrible along the edges. So
Oh, okay.
if you move along the edge, you're pretty
There we
safe.
go. I always thought it was neat how you guys were able to implement the quicksand in there, and how you eventually will sink. It's something you didn't see in a lot of games back then on the Genesis. I always thought that was neat.
Yeah, I have no idea how Mark did that. I don't know. But yeah, he pulled so many tricks out of his hat. Um, I'm just always impressed when I think back, and these days, not to diminish the skills
Oh no!
of engineering teams and all the people I've worked with since then, because there's been some amazing people, but it still boggles my mind that these days I usually work with a team of at least 5, or at one point on Doki Doki Universe we had 9 engineers working on that game,
Oh wow!
and this game was just Mark. It's just he did everything himself, and he did it in about a year. And
Oh no! It got me.
oh yeah, you're okay though. On this level, probably there's so much land that it's just gonna drop you probably over the ground somewhere.
Yeah, it gets tough later on. I was in. It's around level 20 or so, and you get those times they'll take you way out into space.
Yeah, that's right. In game 3 there was a secret where if you opened what was it? It was a certain kind of present. How was that? You could steer the tornadoes when you were in them.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, it's kind of fuzzy now. It's all this, play these games the heck out of them when we're making them, and then go on to other things and don't pick them up again for years. So
Yeah, it's funny. Sometimes when I would land like this and there were enemies around, I would just stay in the elevator for a while and
yeah,
wait for it to go away.
yeah, I know. Sometimes you're just totally stuck in there. You don't want to come out at all. Yeah, I know. You need to use your presence though. You've got a full load, and you can't pick up. So you're passing all kinds of good presents.
Yeah, you're right. I do.
Yeah, or find a wise man. That's the best thing. Oh, you only have $2. See, some of those presents might be extra bucks presents too.
The only thing I get kind of worried about, especially when I'm getting low on life, is using presents that I haven't identified, because sometimes they are like food that will hurt you, and then I'm afraid to die when that happens.
Yeah, I know, that's true. Well, that's why generally, if you're going to experiment with presents, you want to do it at the lower levels, and
Right.
when things aren't so dangerous, and when you haven't collected too many presents, so the randomizers, if you hit it, it's not going to do too much damage. So that's what I always do. Is I save my money. I use it all for the wise man until I've found the randomizer, and I experiment with presents.
Oh no! Did not mean to do that.
Yeah. Oh, there was that Viking, the opera singer lady. Do you know what she does?
What's that?
You just passed the opera.
Oh no! What is going on? What am I doing?
Oh, if you hit an edge and you're running, you jump. So you don't want to run on those corridors, probably.
Yeah, you're right. I was losing focus or something.
Oh, yeah, I know. Well, you're trying to talk and play at the same time.
This is when it gets really hard. Oh gosh.
Yeah, it scrambles the directions, and because you're in love, you just don't know where you're going.
That's funny.
Yeah, one of the silly things too here that some people picked up on is you can actually walk out on the air, oh well, over the. It's I guess there's no air since you're in outer space, but when you're in love, you can go out over space because you're sort of walking on air. But then, of course, when it wears off, you fall. So
Oh, that's funny.
yeah, kind of silly. Yeah. So anyway, back to the stacked levels thing. That was something I've been also pondering. How do you feel about that? Like one good friend of mine suggested that I have like a Earth map and have different sort of regions where you have stacked dungeons or levels that kind of come off of the Earth map, so it feels more like Earth. On the other hand, other people have said, no, I like the whole like don't change it too much. You know, it should.
That's one of the things about it's kind of because especially when you talk about a game like this, people love what it was all about. So changing it too much is kind of a worry about kind of upsetting some of the old players on it. But I like the stack levels because it really added to the gameplay. Like what just happened, I fell down like two levels and I had to work my way back. Fortunately, I had some unfall items. I was able to get back there pretty easily. But I like that. One of the things that you mentioned when you were on the last time with us was, I think, a neat idea that you had about possibly implementing into the next ToeJam Earl game was having them go back through time and kind of see them at these important events throughout history.
Oh,
And
right,
I
yeah.
thought that was a really neat idea. And I think it could be a lot of fun, especially for the story. You'd add it wouldn't be just them trying to find pieces to their spaceship. You could actually add a little bit of a neat story to it all, and see them, and even maybe that they had to somehow fix history or something, like some sort of something happened and they have to go back in time and fix these historical events and bring time back to the way it was supposed to be or something like that. That would be kind of a neat thing to do and give them some added kind of like things to do in the game.
Yeah, I wonder. So that brings up an interesting question about story. Oh, by the way, do you know what that guy's for right there?
What does he do?
He heals you. You actually don't need that for I think for a couple bucks. So he'll heal you all the way.
Ah,
He used to be a archbishop. He had like a
well, like,
bishop's hat and a what's it called, a mitre staff and
uh-huh.
stuff, and that's why you hear the Mormon Tabernacle Choir sing Hallelujah when you get
Ah.
healed. But then that was one of those things Sega wanted us to change. They were afraid it was going to offend people, and our producer at the time, who was great, Scott Burfield, he made T-shirts for the entire team that had the picture of that Archbishop on the T-shirt with a big censored across the front of it.
Oh, that'd be neat to see.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. But anyway, back to your point. Yeah, putting in more story elements that are conveyed through characters talking or through cinematic sequences or somehow you have to communicate story. It can lend more of a sense of purpose and fun and interesting and depth to the characters and all of that. It also generally makes the game a little less replayable.
Right.
You've seen the story, you feel like you don't want to see it again
Mm-hmm.
times. And and I wonder too, just in terms of where our effort and resources go. It's another thing I have on my list of notes. It's like to think about and discuss is how much of that, if any, to do. When I was talking about them going back in time, mainly I was just meaning in terms of the the theme of the environments and the Earthlings they would meet. I thought it would be fun to see them running around
That
in
would be
something
neat.
looked like ancient Egypt or ancient Japan or
Go back to
Rome.
the caveman times. It would be kind of funny
Yeah,
to see.
right.
And that would be great because you could really showcase like different enemies too, like, and they would be specific to that era. Like you go back in time, like it'd be like caveman times, you'd have like saber-toothed tigers or woolly mammoths and things like that. Cavemen coming in, trying to get you, and then you go like to Egypt, and it would be, something altogether different, which would be kind of neat, I think.
Yeah, I think that would be really fun too. It it probably means you know a lot more asset production just
Right.
from a practical standpoint, and it makes me wonder how reusable those characters would be on different levels. Right now, you could find a boogeyman or a little devil or a dentist on any level, and there you'd probably want to tie them to specific levels that have specific artwork for that
Hmm.
period. So that's when I when I have my game player hat on, I just love the idea because it feels fun and cool. And when I have my developer hat on, I think, oh geez, that's a lot more art we need to produce and time and money and stuff like that. And um, but yeah, it's definitely something I have on my list too. The other something pulling in another direction to that too is what kind of Earthlings would people want to see? Some people have suggested that they really like the satire and would like to see more kind of modern topical satire of kind of more modern day Earthlings. People. That's my vernacular. Like people walking around with cell phones or different. I'm not even sure what that would mean.
Yeah,
But
I know what you're saying. That would, I like the idea. Of that. I think that would be a good idea to bring it up, uh, or you even go the other way and kind of keep ToeJam and Earl kind of in that '80s era and make it make the people kind of reflect that too, like so they still like look like they're in the '80s and they're dressed like that, or they have those giant cell phones
that's
back
funny. I
then.
like that. I like that.
That could be kind of fun too. That's the thing too, is like I like the fact that they are into this kind of old school funk type thing, like,
Mhm.
and I would hate to see them lose that.
Yeah, it's weird actually watching this game in silence because I mean we need to keep the audio off so we can talk, but the music is so much a part of
I
the
know.
experience that it just feels like I keep feeling like something's wrong, something's missing. But yeah, I agree. I think I that tends to be my tendency is to want to keep it kind of old school. Like some people have said, the dialogue between ToeJam and Earl, where there's like say, "Yo, what's up?" It's is too outdated and should
No
be.
way.
But I kind of I kind of feel like that's part of the vibe. He's got his big old '80s medallion on, and they're just
Ah,
they're just kind of, oh yeah. Oh, that's another thing. Did you know that in game 3 you can actually get your presents back from the moles?
really?
And we didn't do that in game 1, and unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah,
If
those moles can be a big pain in the butt once they
I
start
know
shaking through a lot of, because it seems like they take a lot of your items away.
they do, and
I guess it wasn't too
oftentimes
bad.
you know um, oftentimes it's some of your best
Yeah.
presents that makes you want to kind of chuck your controller through the window. Or certain things about this game too. I like when you get randomized or when you hit that total bummer. The moles are on that list of things that are kind of on the edge. So, I thought about, should I get rid of them? Should I not? Should I? How some of these things that feel frustrating, even right down to having bad presence at all. It's like, should there be bad presence? But I think, to some extent, having tension can be exciting, and it's like, it's a mole. You scream and you run. It's kind of fun to be scared of something.
I agree. Yeah.
But you're kind of walking a line. Like, I think if in a new game, I think I would probably want to add the ability to get your presence back from them again, because it feels so good in Game 3 when you can do that. Wow, there's a lot of moles around you. This is when you use your presence, and you want to pop on. There you go. Yeah, I guess you haven't found your Icarus wings yet.
Going back to their speech and everything, I definitely agree that you should keep that same style, because I think that's one of the things that have kept the characters so endearing over the years, because they just have this kind of this fun innocence about them, but they're just like these funky guys, and I think you would lose some of that if you try to bring them into a more current type of thing. And I think oh no.
Oh, so close. You almost.
I know. I thought I was just going to be able to like run right through there, but I must have hit a.
You still got your high tops on. You can run and jump off of that island.
Yep.
There you go. Oh, there you go. Some presents and some food. Yeah, here's a question. Do you, in Game 3, which is just like a good data point, because I made a lot of decisions and did a lot of things, some of which were good and some of which weren't, maybe, but and some people like some things and some people don't. But the characters talked a lot more, and which sort of allowed and forced me to develop their personalities more, and I think that was kind of a little bit of a shocker for people, because sometimes it didn't conform to what they had in their minds from Game 1. One of the things that was a little bit controversial was the fact that ToeJam and Earl have always, in my mind, been African American characters.
Oh yeah.
The way they talk and the whole funk thing is kind of African American music culture.
Sure.
And even back in the 80s, it sort of evolved into rap, and in Game 3 I stuck in some gospel music and just sort of the whole range of style of music, and they spoke more. And I think for some people, you build a fantasy in your mind when you play the game, and you get attached to that image you have of who you think the characters are, and then when you go and you develop them more specifically, you can find that you've alienated some people because it just doesn't happen to match up with what they had in their mind.
Yeah, and I think that happens a lot with most anything, like a book or something like that. When a book gets turned into a TV show, like for instance, if you were reading the Game of Thrones books before the show came out, you would have in your mind an idea of what all the characters were to look like. And then once the TV show comes out, there's going to be those that, hate the way they casted the characters because they had an idea of, what, say Joffrey or someone else look like, and then it's just completely opposite of that. So I think that's, might be the same kind of thing that happens, but I definitely like fleshing out their personality a little bit, because that's part of what makes them really interesting to me. I want to know more about them, and having a little bit more dialogue and being able to learn more about them, I don't think is a bad thing at all.
Yeah, maybe it's like most things. Maybe it's kind of just walking the line, trying to do enough that you can add some richness to it without losing people. Maybe just I mean, they do talk a little bit in game one. Like, there's that opening movie, right, where he's saying, "Yo, my name is ToeJam, and this is my home with Big Earl. Say what's up, Earl." And Earl
Yeah,
says, "Yo,
I
what's
love
up?"
that.
You know, that they're that manner of speaking is not white, right? Generally, yeah.
Right.
And uh, anyway, adding dialogue like when they talk in the elevator or when they meet up after the screen has split and comes together again, and they say "Yo, what's up" to each other, and I think it might be fun to add more of that. The part that I'm not so sure about is the cinematics that we might do,
Mm.
and um, I think probably what I would do is. Uh, if I'm going to do this, is build a game first without that, and then see if it feels like it needs or wants that.
Oh
So,
yeah.
you know, personally, I like that in games. I like seeing more of kind of the backstory and knowing more about who the characters are, but
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. It's
I like that stuff too. I mean, just when you and I talk, about games and stuff. I always say that I love a good narrative. I love a good story. I love strong characters and things like that. So you ask me, I'm most likely always going to say go for go for fleshing things out and bringing more personality to the characters.
mm-hmm.
So I'm always probably going to lean that way for better or worse.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Hey, what do you think about like having an AI pet or even another AI player character? Like right now, if you could be playing with Earl as an AI, or if you could have a little like robot dog that was doing stuff with you, would you want that, or
That
would
would
you
be really neat. Having a pet that could either like fetch items for you or uh,
maybe go distract the Earthlings so that they don't chase you or kill
yeah,
you?
and I think the ability to either at some point maybe either he can morph or something like maybe do something, or maybe you could just like try to uh, customize him a little bit. Like I think that would be really neat, having something to kind of make him
Oh,
your
that's a
own.
fun idea. I like that.
And I don't know how
Yeah,
I don't
I
know
was
if
thinking more like you could give him orders, but customizing him might be even better.
I like
Like
the idea about doing orders and everything like that. I think that's really neat. But having like a pet that you could either you have the option to try to like tweaking them a little bit, or over time uh, maybe choosing different like boosts that he would get that could maybe even change the way he looks or something like that would be kind of neat too. I
oh
really
yeah,
like that idea
I
of
like
a
that
pet.
too. Yeah, so you customize them visually, but maybe also in terms of the personality. So you can ask it to be, I want you to be more aggressive and go exploring on your own, or I want you to stick with me more. I want you to, focus on distracting the Earthlings. You could give it like high level instruction that stuck with it, and that way it wouldn't interrupt the gameplay where you have to keep stopping and giving it orders, which
Right.
could be fun in itself, but again, that changes the game. Anything like that starts to push the game
Hmm.
harder in a new direction. And one of the things I definitely would want to do in a new game is really try hard to stay true to the original gaming experience that people loved, and not pull another game 2 or game 3 on them. Both of those games I think were good games in and of themselves, but they were very different from game
Right.
one, and I think that disappointed a lot of people who just wanted a sequel to this first experience.
When I think about a new ToeJam Earl game, I always go back to this first game, and that's what I think about. And like when I imagine what could be added to it, and I don't think of two or three. It's always this one, that I think back like how could it be added, and what could be done to make that you know uh, a newer game or make it better. It's always this one, and I don't know. I would really like to see a new game follow this style, a roguelike style of game. I think that would be great.
Uh-huh. Yeah, cool. Well, I think, I think if I do this, I might pull a few elements from game two and add them into this roguelike
Hmm.
framework. Like, I think there was some fun things in game two, like, do you remember the hyperfunk zone?
No, I don't.
Hyperfunk zone. Does that sound familiar?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That was what you heard every time you went into it. That was a fun little mini game that was sort of scattered throughout. Oh, you have to get on the grass to flap your wings.
I know. That's what I was trying.
Oh yeah, and then stand still. There you go. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Yeah, there were things in a few things in game two that I would maybe want to pull out, like the jam out. I don't know if you remember the jam out. You could play your rhythms with the different characters from within the game. In game one, that was really an experiment back in those days. Where you could, I thought, ooh, what if you could press buttons on your controller and make music? And it was, like, what a concept. This was, of course, so early in those days. It was Parappa the Rappa and all those other games, and
Oh
well, but then in game two, I thought, oh, I want to try to integrate that more into the gameplay. So there was little stops you could make with the characters, and you get sort of little rhythms you were given and bonus points. And then game three, I wanted to integrate it even more, and we implemented this thing where you could actually walk around the world playing rhythms and having more kind of feedback about the rhythms on the screen, and making all the Earthlings dance. And I think that was one of the things that worked really well in game three that I might want to pull in again. So.
If anyone's watching me, they see me just keep falling back. I've
Yeah.
regressed so much. I made it landed me on top of some bees and just bounced me up off the edge.
Yeah, well, when you start falling like that, especially if you've got Icarus wings or inner tube or rocket skates, that's often a good time to go all the way back down to level 1 and go to those secret places.
Oh, that's a good idea too. I
Yeah,
never even really thought about that, like just tracing back and.
yeah, you only want to do that if you have a way to get across the water, but there's a whole variety of presents that'll do that for you.
Oh, that's neat.
In fact, this is, I was just going to give away another one of the answers to my questions. Do you want to start doing the trivia questions now?
Yeah, let's do that. That'd be fun.
Okay, because the very first question on my list here, should I just jump in, or did you have a way you want to do that?
Yeah, no, go for it. Yeah, I didn't have a certain way. I think let's just.
Okay, I'll start asking questions. Is there anybody actually commenting now? Because we might get people answering these now, or I guess.
So we have 7 active viewers right now. So if they want to go ahead and start answering, we can do that. But let's see. So what we could do is once we're done, we can have them email their answers to seganerds@gmail.com. and use the subject line ToeJam and Earl Trivia Contest. So whatever's following, send in your emails and your answers that way, and we'll also include all the instructions when we post this on the site. That way it makes it a little bit easier for people.
Okay, and so that means I won't give away the answers as I'm reading the questions. I just do the questions.
Right.
Okay. All right. This is going to be hard because there's all this to talk about. Okay. So, all right. And that is that true for anybody that watches this on YouTube later?
Yes. So if you're watching this on YouTube, do the exact same thing. And how long do you want to run it through?
What do you mean?
How long should we keep the contest open for before we?
Oh, I see. Oh gosh, I don't know. That's up to you.
Well, maybe we'll do it for a week or so. We'll put that in the link on the site, and I'll also include the link to the post in the YouTube description. That way, it makes it a little bit easier for people.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. So, and you want to say the email address once more?
Yes, seganerds@gmail.com.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So here's the first question. Where is the secret island with all the presents? And it's not the one with the hole in the middle. Okay. There's another secret island. Where is it?
It's already starting off tough.
Is that? Oh, okay. And tell me if you want me to give a hint on any of these too. If you think they're too hard, I can offer hints as well.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Should I go on to the next one?
Sure.
Okay. Number 2. What was the girl player character's name in Game 3? And a little bit of trivia on that. We almost had a celebrity voice for her. I don't know if you have heard of the girl group that used to be popular called TLC, but Left Eye, the singer for that, was going to be at one point Letitia's. Oops, I just gave it away. Okay, scratch that.
Oh, that's neat though. I did not know that. That would have been really cool.
Isn't that neat? Yeah, and then tragedy struck. He was actually in an airplane accident and died.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I remember when that happened. That was. I actually was a big TLC fan back then.
Were.
I like TLC.
I love their music. I still listen to it, and I went down to LA and I met with her manager, and they were all excited about doing it, and
wow.
And then that happened. So wow. Okay, question 3. What do you get when you drink a lemonade from the lemonade stand, and what do you get from sitting in the hot tub? This is a 2-part question. What happens when you drink the lemonade, and what happens when you sit in the hot tub?
All right.
Okay. Question number 4. What is the name of the Funkatronian who has a crush on ToeJam? This is kind of from Game 2 more than, it's not in Game 1. But there was one of them who had the hots for ToeJam.
Who wouldn't have the hots for ToeJam?
Yeah. All right. She looks a little bit like him too. That's a hint. Okay, question number 5. What is the full name of ToeJam and Earl's spaceship?
Ooh.
Yeah, and a hint, we saw it actually today. It was on the screen in this interview.
Go back and study this.
Yeah. Okay, question number 6. What is ToeJam and Earl's best friend's name? This is an old school question. This probably also was more from Game 2, and it was one of their friends from Funkatron. But they had one of the Funkatronians was kind of their best friend, and I'll give you a hint. It was another he, a male, and he's kind of short. Okay. You ready for the next one?
Yep.
How can you tell if a mailbox monster is real?
I know that one now.
Yep, that's a test to see if you were paying attention. So is this next one. We already said this next one too. Number 8, how do you get Santa's presents? That's number 8. So we know that one now too.
It's not as easy as you would think. At least it's not as easy as just opening them up on Christmas morning.
Yeah. And you remember the trick with these guys, the chickens, is you can go near them and then they can't hit you, but don't touch them.
Right, that's what I was going to say. I'm sure they hurt you if you...
Yeah, that's right. Okay, let's see. Question number 9. Why should you keep your bad presents? There's actually 2 reasons. Either one is accepted for why you would hang on to bad presents.
Ooh.
and not drop them. They actually can do good things for you, but I want to tell you, but I won't. I cannot. Okay, question number 10. True or false? Earl can eat bad food. Can he eat bad food, or does it hurt him? All right. Let's see. I'm going to skip over that next question. I think. Oh, well, I don't know. This is a hard one. What's another benefit of Earl having a longer life bar than ToeJam? Number 11. And stop right where you are. And the hint is there's something on this screen right now that is the answer.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Don't stay there too long.
Right.
All right, so there's a reason to have a long life bar that's useful beyond just taking damage from Earthlings. Is that too hard, or is that?
No, I think that's an interesting question.
Okay. Number 12. True or false? You can give someone an extra life if you die. So in a two-player game, is that true or is that not true? If you have extra lives, can you give them to the other player or not?
That's a question I don't know.
Wow. I'll tell you afterwards if you want to know.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Question number 13. True or false? You can. Let's see. Oh, you can get back your presents from the mall. True or false? We talked about that here too in this show. So that's true or false. Question number 14. How can you pop up from the sand without using a present?
Ooh, I think here's a hint. I think, did we answer that one also?
We did. Yes. So that should be easy.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you ready? Question number 15. What character is this? Tra-la-la! Who says that?
I guess you might have voiced him then.
Yeah. Tra-la-la! As annoying as that is. Okay. Question number 16. What character is this? Aloha.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I died.
I'm sorry to say that was actually me too.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Okay. Question number 17. Who's this?
This is great.
Yeah. Gosh, haven't done that for a long time.
Oh, that's awesome.
I had to do the recording at night after everybody had left. I was in this suite of offices doing stuff like that. Yeah, at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night. Okay. We answered this one too. Gee whiz. Question number 18. How do you get rid of the Cupid?
Oh, yeah. There's a couple ways too, right?
Yeah, there are a couple ways to do that.
So we'll take any of those answers.
Yeah, any of them is fine. Let's see. I'm going to skip that next one. The next one, we're going to skip over this. What was the best way to deal with the hula dancers? I think I already said that one too. Should we just skip that one? Or what's the best way to deal with the hula dancers? Tomatoes is the answer.
Right, yep.
Yeah. Okay. Number 20. Where does all funk in the known universe come from?
Ooh.
Yeah, that one you have to be kind of hardcore ToeJam and Earl to do that.
I can't imagine that people are just going to be able to go look on Wikipedia to answer these questions either. They're going to have to kind of know their stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what's on Wikipedia, but I'll give you a hint to that one. That one is in Game 2.
Oh, okay.
That one's totally. If you played Game 2, you should know that one. Okay. And Game 3, for that matter, 2 or 3. Either of those games would be able to tell you what that was. Okay, number 21. We're getting kind of to the end. Oh, I think I gave this one away too. What's a good strategy for avoiding the ice cream truck? It's the same strategy that I told you for the shopper lady.
Ah, okay. Now I
Yeah.
do.
Okay. Um, uh, Number 22. What's the worst present in the game?
Ooh.
Yeah, worst as in, it's a little subjective, so there's a couple really bad ones. This is an easy question. Anybody? Yeah, so just either one of the really terrible presents. Here's a hard one. I think this is hard. What number 23? What does it say on ToeJam's medallion?
Ah.
Yeah, and you can't really see it when he's pixelated like this, but
No.
yeah, you can see it on like the ads and stuff. Whenever there's artwork of ToeJam, you can see what it says on there. Okay, number 24. This one I think is easy. What is Earl's full name?
Mm.
Okay, it's 3 words. And then here's a really, really, really obscure hard one that I don't think anybody's going to get, but I thought it might be fun to have well, I think it's too hard, actually.
It would be fun to
What's the
do it.
most bizarre thing that can happen in the game? This happens very rarely, and a hint is it can happen when you open the doors of the elevator.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's kind of, and it's a couple things that happen.
I bet someone answers that question. I bet
You
someone gets
think
it.
so?
I bet they do. I don't know it. I'll say that I don't know it, but just knowing how hardcore some ToeJam Earl fans are out there, I wouldn't put it past them. They would know that one. They might be screaming it at us right now as they're hearing this. So.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll give you one other hint that I don't think will give this away. There's actually 2 randomish things that can happen at once. They don't necessarily happen in the elevator, but sometimes it's particularly bizarre when it does and when the doors open. So that's probably all I should say. But it's a little bit of a shocker when it happens, and it was not intended. It
Oh, okay.
just kind of happened that way, and I saw it and I was like, what?
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so that's all the questions that I've got.
We'll have to come up with a way to figure out. So I guess we just who people are in it. If I don't know, how should we give away the prizes?
Oh, well, the concept art is easy because I can make copies of that and sign it, and maybe I can even get Mark to sign it with me. I'll have to
Okay.
go take it over to his house. The games, however, though, I don't know.
I'm gonna have to send those to you. We'll ship those out to you, and get you and maybe Mark if he's willing to sign those too. And those are, I think those we'll have to figure out how we're gonna give those ones away.
Yeah, and there will certainly be a limited number of that, so it'll just be first come, first serve, right?
Yeah, I don't know if you knew that, but yeah, ToeJam and Earl these days isn't one of the most cheap SEGA games anymore, or Genesis games. It's getting up there.
Oh, is it? That's
Yep.
interesting.
Yeah. As far as we were at an expo last weekend, Too Many Games in Oaks, Pennsylvania, near Philadelphia, and they were going. The only complete copies that I saw, one stand had 2 of them, and they were $30 a piece,
Oh.
and they were selling. I saw both of them sell at that price.
Oh,
So
nice. Wow,
that's
that's kind of cool.
Mhm. It was just fun to see people out there because I was going to pick them up myself, but there was a guy there that ended up picking up the last one. But it was just neat seeing people pick that up.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, that's fun to hear. I didn't know that.
So, but yeah, that would be an amazing game to add to any great Sega collection, is having a signed ToeJam and Earl by the creators of the game. That would be I think everyone would be excited to get their hands on that. So yeah, well, I think we'll run the contest for about a week or so. What I'll do though too is I'll go back and add all of the trivia questions to the post. That way it may make it a little bit easier for people to be able to know what's being asked and everything like that.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, but you'd have to make it easier on them. They're going to need to listen to the entire show that we did, because, like you said, there was probably about 4 or 5 questions at least that we answered throughout our little discussion here.
Yeah, that's right. And those audio ones that that I did, they're going to have to listen to it to be able to answer the question.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Maybe what I'll do then, I'll specify that it's an audio question, and maybe let's see if I can get them this time.
Yeah, just go toward him and there. Stop. Yeah.
Let's see if we get.
Stop. Good.
I got him.
You did it.
All right.
All right. That's the way to do it. Nicely done, Chris.
Man, I think that is probably as good a time as any to stop our little live play, because that's probably going to be the last impressive thing I do on that game. But I'm going to have to continue playing. This is actually probably one of the better playthroughs I've done. I've been pretty good at not getting killed so much.
Yeah, and you were talking the whole time too. And maybe that's the key. Just use half your brain and you'll succeed.
Maybe. Yeah. So we'll I'll put maybe the timestamp on there where people can go and hear the sound effect. Or what would be even cooler is if I take a portion of the sound, edit it out, and have like a little play button in the post too, that they can just click play. I can do that. That would be fun.
That's high tech. If you can do that, that'd be great.
I'll make it happen. I'll do it. So, but yeah, that was a fun discussion that we had about the game. I have to say, I was telling people about this, and I was just saying, this is going to be one of the most crazy things that I think we've ever done on Sega Nerds, is playing through the game and having the creator. One of the creators of the game sit here and chat with me about it, especially thinking back on when I played this as a kid. I never would have even thought that we could do something like that. It was just a really awesome and fun experience, and I really hope our listeners and readers out there enjoy it. So, in addition to the contest, though, I think it would be great to get some feedback on some of the things that we talked about, some of the questions that Greg, that you brought up during the show. It wasn't just directed at me; it was directed to the whole Sega Nerds community, right?
You got it. That's right. That would be awesome. Any and all thoughts are welcome. I promise I'll read it all. If people want to send me their thoughts, what did you love? What did you hate about the game? And what would you want to see in a new one? I'd love it.
Absolutely. Go through, listen to some of the questions that Greg asked me during the show, and come back and write an awesome comment on the site on YouTube or anything. I'll make sure Greg gets all of those feedback and everything, and that way they can help him shape the next ToeJam Earl game if it ever comes to that. I think I can speak for the entire Sega community out there with this, that we would absolutely love a new ToeJam Earl game, and hopefully one day we can get that. But we hope, wish you all the best, Greg, and we'll definitely have to get you on again. This is so much fun. I don't know if people realize, but before the show, Greg and I end up chatting about an hour or more than that, just about life and all sorts of other things. And it's just great. Have so much fun just sitting around chatting with you, Greg. It's been great.
Me too. Yeah, I really enjoy this, actually, both aspects of it. And so, just give me a holler anytime. I'm always happy to hop on and talk about this stuff. That's great.
Awesome. It would be great just to get your thoughts on just other video game stuff too, like that you kind of play, or just talk about current events in the video game industry, and get your insight on that, because it's going to be completely different from ours, as game players or game reviewers or game writers. You're a game maker. It would be great to get some of that. So maybe here in a few weeks or so, or you have an awesome trip coming up to Japan. Maybe once you get back from that, we'll get back together again, talk about some of the great entries that people submitted for the trivia contest, and some of the feedback, and also about some of the current events and things like that.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be ready for that, and maybe I'll regale you with some crazy stories about Japan too when I get back.
Oh, that sounds great. Awesome. So that's going to do it for us. Hope everyone enjoyed the show, and we hope to do some more things like this in the future. And we will see you next time. So take it easy.
All right.